Episode 3 of The Wealth Show with Equity Kings. Welcome to The Wealth Show. My name is Tumisho Ramodisa, and unfortunately, I am not accompanied by my co-host Siyabonga Chuma. What a big blow. But as you can see, as the title of this episode suggests, we'll be talking about Bitcoin and gold. So, just a quick market update. Gold has been rallying for 3 weeks in a row, 3 consecutive weeks. This is something we've never seen since January. Gold rallying 3 weeks in a row, 3 weeks. This is something big for gold. This could be a reversal, and as we saw last week, gold broke out of its bearish channel. So we have officially broken the bear market in gold, and one of the reasons for this is because of the CPI numbers for March, or for May, I think it was for April. The CPI March numbers for April that we got were better than expected. I think it shocked everyone that we now have an official CPI rate of 4.2%, and all these annual CPI increases have been just extraordinary. I think personally extraordinary. It blew my mind, but obviously I wasn't really that surprised by it. I was surprised by the fact that they would post such high CPI numbers with the government's numbers. These are the government's numbers. So this is something that surprised me. I didn't think the government would actually post such high CPI numbers. Or of course, the government is still understating CPI. So for all we know, those numbers could have been at 10%. For all we know, if they measured it honestly, which they wouldn't. And I explained this in my previous podcast episode. I explained this with Sia, and we spoke about why the government is a mafia. So if you didn't see that, you can just check the previous episode. I think it was episode 2. But with this whole bullish movement on gold, I think what's happening here is there's a rotation from value or from growth into value stocks. So I can see this rotation happening. So while this rotation is ongoing, people are dumping Bitcoin and are pumping gold. But except in this case, you don't pump gold. Gold is real, so it doesn't need any pumping to go up. It has fundamental value, whereas Bitcoin needs pumping. But I'll just explain that in a second. I don't want to just go down that bandwagon just yet. I just want to relax and just chill and just talk about what's going on in the market. So we've all seen this crypto crash. I'm sure everyone in the markets have seen this crypto crash. Bitcoin crashed down 50%, if I'm not mistaken. Ethereum, same story through Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin is trading at 31 cents US dollars, 31 cents. So that's actually bad. I'm not sure how much it's trading in rands, but from what I can see, it's not looking good. But some people, the funniest thing that's happening with this whole crypto crash is that people keep buying the dip. I remember when Bitcoin, from its highs, I think it hit its highs in April, which was about 64,000. And then Elon Musk appeared on SNL. And then what happened was, Peter Schiff, I was listening to Peter Schiff's podcast, and he called the top. He said that SNL, Elon Musk appearance, could mark the top for crypto, just crypto in general. I think particularly Dogecoin, but I think we could apply that to every crypto, because if Bitcoin crashes, the whole thing crashes with it. That's an unreal thing about cryptos. It's not a store of value. It's not an inflation hedge. It's nothing. But before I go down that bandwagon, what we've been seeing is we could see a head and shoulder formation on Bitcoin. So you could see that this thing was bound to happen. It was inevitable. Now, the counter argument with these crypto guys would be that, this is just the Bitcoin cycle. It was going to happen. But the funny thing is, if you really knew it was going to happen, and it was going to happen anyways without Elon Musk, then why didn't you, as a crypto pumper, why didn't you call out the potential crash? If you knew that it was going to crash, if you're here busy talking about making excuses up for why it was bound to crash and it's going to recover and everything's going to be great for Bitcoin, and especially since this whole narrative of Bitcoin being an inflation hedge, why is it that in a time where CPI has reported extraordinary gains, the inflation rate is spiking up? In such a time, why is crypto markets crashing? If it's such an inflation hedge, it should be going up. But no, you know what's going up? It's gold. It's gold and silver. Gold and silver are in a bull market as we speak. And there's nothing the Fed can do about it, except obviously hike interest rates, which is something they don't have the balls for. I don't think they have the guts to do that at all. And in fact, I don't think any government that that interfered with the markets during COVID has the balls to raise interest rates. I mean, maybe some countries with low levels of debt, household debt, corporate debt, all this kind of debt that are not burdened by such a high amount of debt, maybe those countries can handle higher rates and can handle the reserve banks or the central banks tightening policy. But South Africa, I don't think so. America, not even a chance. Maybe South Africa might have a chance because we're actually recording trade surpluses. Although I think this whole trade surplus story is bogus and it's not going to end very well for South Africa. Because if you look at those trade surpluses, most of them are coming from metals and mining and all these other commodities, but it's not coming from the goods that we buy on a daily basis. In fact, we have deficits with those countries like China, like Germany, especially the cars. We all know that we have a huge trade deficit with Germany. So there's a lot of things going on here, and I just want you guys to be aware of it. So going back to this whole crypto nonsense, crypto crashed. What the funniest thing that happened is, at the high of 64,000, I think it was 64,000, it crashed down to about 50,000, 52,000, and then people bought the dip, and then it just went up. You know, when it gives you a false confidence, a false hope after you buy the dip, you think that it's gonna go up, and it just gives you this bear. I think it's a bull trap. You must just check the market cycles. I think it was a bull trap. So what happens is it gives you a false sense that, this thing is done dipping and it's gonna go to the moon, because that's what they all say, Doge to the moon. But of course I said Doge to the moon, so let me not be a hypocrite there. Let me not put Dogecoin in the spotlight. Let me talk about Bitcoin. And I think I'm one of the biggest critiques of Bitcoin, but I don't think you guys understand. You guys don't understand how much of a critique I am of Bitcoin, because the whole thing doesn't make sense. People just buy at 52, 54,000. It goes up to 58,000, 57,000, and then it starts going down again. So it's really creating this head and shoulders that no one is seeing. People are just blinded by it. It's like they just blinded by their laser eyes. You know those things that these Bitcoiners do? They put those laser eyes on their Twitter to show that they're part of the Bitcoin cult. They're part of this Bitcoin cult. So they put these laser eyes to show that they're part of the family and they're hodling their Bitcoins. But of course, it's not going to end well. So as you can see, what's happening now is people have been buying the dip. People have been buying the dip constantly. We all hear this narrative of buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Even these professional investors are telling their clients to buy the dip. So what happens when you buy the dip? 57,000, that's good. And then it crashes down to 48. If that's what I remember, the low was around 48, 47,000. What happened was people said buy the dip. And I heard one of my favorite investors talking about it. I think it was Raul Paul from Real Vision. He spoke about it. I think he was loading up on some Bitcoin, but I'm sure he had Bitcoin way before. So it's just increasing his positions. And I just listened to, I watched his, not watched, but I listened to the podcast Real Vision. And I also checked his tweet. I think he posted his tweet today. What's the date today? I think the date today is like around the 22nd of May, 23rd of May. Doesn't matter. Whenever you listen to this podcast, it'll still be relevant. So he posted a tweet. He said that Bitcoin, he's not levered up in Bitcoin. He doesn't have any leverage in Bitcoin, which is something that's very key. So what happens with this crash? It keeps going down. It keeps dipping, keeps going down. What happens is, even if it goes down, let's say you bought Bitcoin at 60,000 and then, for example, you have $1,000, right? Or you have 10,000 rands. Let me just say it in South Africa. You have 10,000 rands and you bought Bitcoin when the price of Bitcoin was $60,000. So what happens is, if you buy it with 10,000, but then you want leverage, maybe 1 to 10. So the bank borrows you about 10,000, or not 10,000, 100,000, because it's 1 to 10. So your crypto position is worth 110,000. So you have a massive crypto position because you got all this leverage from the banks or from the brokers or whatever financial institution you're using. And then what happens is, if Bitcoin had to crash 10%, so your position is 100,000, your position size is 100,000 because you borrowed that extra money from the bank. So now, if it can just crash by 10%, if it can just pull back, just the pullback of 10%, your margin called, you're out of the position. Just the 10% pullback, because that's 10% of 100,000, which is what you put in, and what you put in was 10,000. So the moment it's on 10,000, you get margin call. Even if you want to hodl and stay strong with the whole gang, you can't stay strong because the banks margin call you. And that's what's happening with a lot of these crypto traders. This podcast episode is proudly sponsored by Libertex, arguably one of the biggest forex brokers of the 21st century. Libertex has a wide variety of financial instruments to trade with, from currency pairs, stocks, energies, and even a broader variety of commodities to trade. I personally use Libertex, and the one thing I love the most about this broker is their incredibly low spreads. Libertex has been operating since 1997 and has won over 30 prestigious awards worldwide, and is even a sponsor for Tottenham Hotspurs. So click the link in the description to sign up and enjoy the perks that come with trading with a world-class broker. So Bitcoin bottomed at 30,000 and then it just recovered a bit, but I don't think it's a recovery. I think it's just retesting from the support it broke at 40,000, because there was a key support level at 40,000 and it broke that level and it just kept crashing to 30,000. It peaked at 30,000 and then it's just retesting. I think it still has much more downward pressure to go. I think Bitcoin can just dump all the way to 20,000 or 19,000. I think that's where another key support level is, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not a magician in the markets, so I don't know everything. But what I do know is I know how to see what is a bubble. I can sense that there's a bubble. Anyone can predict that there is a bubble. No one can predict when the bubble is gonna pop. That's the only problem. But it's easy to see a bubble. You don't have to be smart to see a bubble. All you need is common sense. And Bitcoin is the biggest bubbles of them all. Of course, the government is number one and then Bitcoin is number two, because that's what the government is. The US government, the South African government, the ECB or the European Union, the British government, they all a bubble. It's all a Ponzi scheme. And I explained that in my previous podcast. And that analogy, it applies to basically any form of government that just interferes with the free market. It's just a Ponzi scheme and it's waiting to collapse. I don't know when it will collapse, but it will collapse. It's inevitable. You can't just delay. Maybe you can delay the day of reckoning, but the day of reckoning is still yet to come. So you can't delay any of that. So going back to the crypto thing, what's happening is 800,000 crypto traders got liquidated out of their positions. 800,000. I saw this article from Bloomberg and they were talking about this whole liquidation period, which was last week apparently. So 800,000 crypto traders were liquidated because they were levered up. Remember in 2017 when Bitcoin crashed in early 2018, 2017, what happened was people weren't levered up. So it wasn't a whole problem about leverage, it was just a problem of people panic selling. So this time it's not just a normal panic sell, it's like people have to sell because they're forced to sell. They don't want to sell, but they're forced to sell. So that's the unfortunate thing, and it's just greed. So people in the Bitcoin casino couldn't hold their positions any longer, and now they saw what that's doing for them, and now they learned the hard way, unfortunately. But maybe some of them haven't learned. Some people are still greedy, but unfortunately we have a rotation from value or from growth into value. So I don't see Bitcoin recovering, but it might recover. Don't say that Dumisho said it won't recover and look at him, he was wrong, it recovered. Dumisho said this. No. I'm not saying it won't recover. I'm saying the possibilities of it recovering are slim, in my opinion. I don't think it will recover. In fact, I don't want it to recover. The bubble should just pop anyways, because Bitcoin had many chances. God gave Bitcoin so many chances. You had your first chance in 2013 when it crashed into 2013, 2014. You had your second chance in 2017. Now you had your third chance in 2020 during the whole lockdown when it crashed to about 5,000, 4,000. Now it's crashing again. So, 3 chances is enough. You're not going to get a fourth chance. If you get a fourth chance, then you must be really lucky. But, people can keep this illusion going on for as long as they can, that Bitcoin is money, Bitcoin is a store of value. No, it's not. Bitcoin is not a store of value. And this gets me to my next point. Bitcoin is not a store of value. I spoke about earlier on. I spoke about Bitcoin as an inflation hedge. I said it's not an inflation hedge, which is obvious, because if it was, it would be going up instead of going down right now. So Bitcoin is not a store of value, because how can a store of value move minus 50% in basically a week? A store of value shouldn't be that volatile. I mean, we've always preached this thing that Bitcoin can't be a store of value because it's volatile. I've been saying this for a long time, that Bitcoin is not a store of value. It's just a speculation token. It's just people can just think that they can just get rich at any time. They can just flip money, flip 100,000 and become a millionaire in a day or two or something like that. So it's just a get rich quick, not a get rich quick scheme, but it's just get rich quick. But unfortunately, the thing is, you're only rich on paper. You're not rich until you sell your Bitcoin, which is something that people are not doing. They're just rich on paper because remember, they're hodling their Bitcoins. They're saying they're hodling till infinity, till the moon. I mean, they don't even know where the moon is, but they're hodling their Bitcoins. So Bitcoin is not a store of value. It can't operate as a medium of exchange. Why can't it operate as a medium of exchange? Because Bitcoin is volatile. As I said, it's volatile. And then someone might say that, oh, Tesla accepted Bitcoin as payment. Oh, something like that along those lines. And my response to that is, what Tesla did, I think I spoke about this. I'm not sure if I spoke about it, but I'll repeat it for those who haven't heard our previous episodes. So what Tesla did was they said that, okay, if, for example, you're going to buy a Tesla worth 1 Bitcoin, let's say the price of one Tesla is 1 Bitcoin, because now they're pricing in Teslas in Bitcoin, right? Before, what companies used to do is when they say they're accepting Bitcoin as payment, they are saying that they're going to accept Bitcoin as payment against their dollars. So the price of the car will be in dollars. And then when you want to buy it, you just exchange your dollars for Bitcoin. So that's how it would work. Or you have your Bitcoins and then let's say the car is worth $50,000, then you will just pay what's $50,000 in Bitcoin. So you're not really paying for it. It's not really a Bitcoin transaction. It needs dollars. It's like it needs dollars. So it doesn't prove anything. So what proves anything is when you actually price products in Bitcoin, and this is what Tesla tried to do, and it failed dismally. And then you can see Elon Musk coming out here and saying they won't be accepting Bitcoin as payment. But of course, his excuse to that is it's because of its environmental causes, which is obviously wrong. And he knows that, first of all, 75% of Bitcoin mining is mined with renewable energy. So that's a lie. So second of all, if it was really a problem, this whole environmental argument and climate change and global warming, if this was really a problem, he knew this all along. It's not like he didn't know this. He knew it all along. So why does he pull back now? He's pulling back now because he knows the reason why he's denying Bitcoin as a payment method is because it doesn't work as a payment method. Think about it, guys. Think about it. Think about it to this extent. Bitcoin is extremely volatile. So imagine if you price something in 1 Bitcoin and then the value of Bitcoin just goes up 20%. If the value of Bitcoin goes up 20%, I mean, you as the buyer, you are lucky. Or is it the owner? I think it's the owner who's lucky. I'm not sure who's lucky, but there's a loser and a winner. So when the price of Bitcoin falls, the value of Bitcoin falls by 20%. I mean, someone is winning in this transaction. It's either the buyer or the seller. So you see, the buyer might lose money in this case and the seller might lose money in this instance, whether it's going up by 20% or 10%. So there's a winner and a loser. But when you're using fiat, there's no winner or loser, because, I mean, when you're buying it, it's not like the dollar is going to drop by 20%. I mean, it can drop by maximum 1% in a day. I don't think it can drop any much further than that. Even the rand, any fiat currency that you want to put on this example or this analogy, it works. And I'm not defending fiat here. I'm just defending it against Bitcoin. That's all I'm doing. I mean, fiat currencies, because it's backed by nothing. Currencies used to be backed by gold because before it became fiat, but now it's backed by nothing. So fiat currencies are nothing. It's just a piece of paper. I mean, Bitcoin is also nothing. So Elon Musk also said that he said that fiat is BS, or he said Bitcoin is BS, but fiat is more BS. I mean, I agree with Elon Musk saying that Bitcoin is BS, but I don't agree with Elon Musk saying that fiat is BS. And Peter Schiff addressed this. But I think that fiat, just as Peter Schiff agrees with it, I think that fiat is BS, but I think Bitcoin is more BS than fiat. Because Bitcoin, you can't do anything. At least with the fiat currency, you can do something with it. I mean, You can do something with it. You can buy something with it. Bitcoin, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin. You cannot buy anything. You know what was the funniest thing? The guy, Anthony Pompliano, one of the biggest Bitcoin pumpers, he said that he started this company, or not this company, this restaurant called Bitcoin Pizza. That's the name of the pizza store, Bitcoin Pizza. But here's the funny part about it. He doesn't even accept Bitcoin as payment. And this really got me thinking that why would someone call something Bitcoin Pizza and not accept Bitcoin as payment? Because he knows it's too volatile. He can't price his pizzas in Bitcoin because the value can just drop or rise in any time of the day. So he can't do that. He needs something stable. The only reason, and you know what was his excuse? His excuse was he doesn't want his clients to lose their Bitcoins. Because obviously, if you're going to buy a pizza in Bitcoin, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to lose some of the Bitcoins that you already own. And he's saying that, oh, I don't want my clients to lose the Bitcoins that they're holding. I want my clients to get richer. And he acts like he cares about his clients in that sense. But that's just a lie. Why don't you just price it in Bitcoin and let your customers decide if they want to pay in Bitcoin or not? Now you're trying to protect them from something that doesn't even exist. That's just a phony excuse. It doesn't make sense. But I mean, I respect Anthony Pompliano, but nonetheless, he's just a liar. Like, people just lie. Elon Musk lied also with the whole Bitcoin thing for environmental use. He knows very well that it's extremely volatile, yet he still says, oh, environmental this. What's funny is that his argument about environmentalists makes him a hypocrite, because in that statement that Elon Musk said, he said that because we won't be accepting Bitcoin because of its increased use of fossil fuels. Yes, it's increased use of fossil fuels. That's exactly what he said. Instead, if he was really honest, he was going to say because of its increased use of electricity using fossil fuels. You know why electricity is so key? And I mean, George Gammon probably agrees with me, because this was extremely shocking when I saw this from George Gammon. Increased use of fossil fuels, or increased use of electricity using fossil fuels, because Bitcoin uses electricity, obviously. Elon Musk owns Tesla. Teslas use electricity. And obviously, it's an electric car, so it uses electricity. And where does most of the electricity come from? Fossil fuels. Most of the electricity that Tesla cars use come from fossil fuels. It's not like America is filled with nuclear power plants. No, it's not. Nuclear power plants only consist of a small number of America's electricity supply. Most of it is fossil fuels. So obviously, if people have Teslas, they're using electricity, and then that electricity comes from burning fossil fuels, which is ironic to the whole purpose of having electric cars, because you're supposed to save the world with CO2, but the electricity you're using to power those electric cars is CO2 emissions, which is ironic. And Elon Musk knows by using Tesla cars you're destroying the planet. So in essence, I mean, he's a hypocrite. He just didn't want to use the word electricity to fool people. But of course, I'm not a fool. I mean, I'm not saying I'm smart, but I'm not a fool. But then again, you have to ask yourself, why do people lie like this? Anthony Pompliano, he's a liar. Elon Musk is a liar, but I do respect Elon Musk, I have to say that. But Bitcoin can't operate as a payment method. It cannot. It's impossible for it to operate. If that was the case, we would be buying pizza in Bitcoin at the Bitcoin pizza store, but he doesn't want us to buy Bitcoin. Which is kind of funny in a way, but it's kind of stupid at the same time. But really, it's a laughable how these guys can just spin something in their favor. And just going back to the whole incident with gold and Bitcoin, I mean, gold is far more superior than Bitcoin. People always say that Bitcoin is better than gold because it performed better than gold, which is absolutely nonsense. It is true that Bitcoin outperformed gold, but that's not what makes it better than gold. It's not what makes it better than gold. You have to look at the properties. You have to look at a lot of things. And if you're talking about performance, I mean, then you can easily say that Dogecoin is better than Bitcoin, because Dogecoin outperformed Bitcoin this year, or the past year, from year over year. Dogecoin surpassed the performance of Bitcoin. If I remember, Bitcoin performed increased by 800% for the past year, and Dogecoin has increased by 14,000%. I mean, this is prior to this whole crypto crash. So prior to last week, Dogecoin was a better performer than Bitcoin. So if you say that Bitcoin is better than gold because it outperformed gold, then you should also say that Dogecoin is better than Bitcoin because Dogecoin outperformed Bitcoin. And you're gonna say, no, that's not true. The Bitcoin is that is not true. That is not true. Bitcoin is still the best because it's decentralized. It's scarce. I mean, here's the funny thing about cryptocurrency argument about being scarce. Cryptocurrency is not scarce. There's 10,000 cryptocurrencies. I mean, just last week there was like 9,100 if I'm not mistaken. Now there's like 10,000. I mean, any fool can create a cryptocurrency unless you know how to code. If you know how to code, you can just create a cryptocurrency out of thin air. I mean, there's nothing scarce about having 10,000 cryptocurrencies. So that scarcity argument just goes through the window because obviously people are going to want to use others' cryptocurrencies. They're not going to want to use Bitcoin only because all these cryptocurrencies are competing with Bitcoin. So there's no scarcity in the crypto space. There's no such thing as that. What it is, it's inflation. They're just inflating the crypto market. But if you look at commodities, gold is the most scarce commodity out of all these commodities because of its properties. It's hard to mine and its properties. So gold can be used as a medium of exchange. It's been used. It's sound money. Gold has been repeatedly proven to be used as a store of value, as a medium of exchange, as an inflation hedge, and there's nothing that can change that, despite this whole popular movement of going into Bitcoin. I'm not 100% against Bitcoin, guys. Let me just make that clear. I'm not 100% against Bitcoin. I'm just against the argument that Bitcoin is going to dethrone gold as the inflation hedge. We all saw that that's not true because it crashed while inflation has been going up through the roof. So there's no connection between inflation and gold. And Bitcoin rather, sorry, and Bitcoin before the Bitcoin trolls start saying, Demisha, I heard you. You just said that gold, this and this and this. But no, going back to my point, Bitcoin is nothing and gold is everything.